Okay, so we're still on the sample exam, and we're on to a debugging question. Find the errors. Okay, now it doesn't say what sort of errors we need to find, so any errors are up for grabs. Some questions say find only the syntax errors, in other words, the compilation errors. Other errors say find the logic errors, which are the runtime errors where the program's compiling okay, but it's producing strange results or incorrect results because of errors in the code. So this one just says find the 5 errors and rewrite the error-free statements accordingly. Find out the 5 errors in the program and rewrite the error-free statements. Okay, so it's printing the average of values in a linked list. Let's just have a quick look at the code. So it's got a method here called double, find the average, and it's passed in a linked list called sales. Double total equals 0, that's looking reasonable. For int I equals 0, I is less than sales.size, I++. Total equals sales.getI. Okay, that's reasonable. Return total divided by sales.size. That's pretty reasonable. All that code there looks okay. We've got an array of sales here, and it's got all those values in. A linked list being defined. Linked list of integer, uppercase I, because it's using the wrapper class, so that we can make use of linked lists. If it was a lowercase int, we couldn't store those values in a linked list or an array list or any other of these types of data structures, queues and stacks and things. So it's got to be the wrapper class version, which is uppercase I integer. If this is a linked list of doubles, it'll be uppercase double, not lowercase double. Okay, and then we're looping through all the sales here and adding them to the linked list. That's all pretty reasonable. I is 0, I is less than sales.length, I++, so that's correct. It's using the length of the array, which is correct. Calculate the averages. Int average sales equals find averages, sales list, system.out.println, average sales, %2f, comma, average sales. So a lot of that on the surface looks pretty reasonable. Let's have a look at something that stands out here. Find average returns a double, and we're certainly calculating a double here. Total's a double, so double divided by int is a double. Okay, but we're trying to store that in an int. So that int there looks very suspicious to me. I'll get my color coding out and I'll highlight the bits that look suspicious so that you can investigate. Okay, so the int looks suspicious. We've got a print line here being used with a format, which isn't allowed in this sort of way. So that shouldn't be a print line. That should be a print something else, a print formatted, and that command in Java is called printf. Okay, so that's another error there to look at. When you declare an array, and number 3 we're coming on to, so that's 2 errors we found. Number 3, we've got this thing here, and that immediately slapped me in the face. So int, we're declaring an array here, so there should be square brackets somewhere on this side of the equal sign. They're either got to go here or there, after the sales or before the sales. Doesn't matter which one in Java, before or after. Generally the standard is in Java that you put them before the data type name or the data name and after the data type. So somewhere in there we want to put square brackets. So int square brackets, sales equals, and so on. Now there's some funny stuff going on here with our linked list. Java doesn't let you take shortcuts, especially in Java 7 and so on. But you can't take the shortcut over here. So you could say linked list integer inside the less than greater than signs equals new linked list, and then leave the integer out over here. Just put the less than greater than signs followed by the round brackets. That would be okay, but you can't do it the other way around. So you've got to put integer there at the very least. Integer's got to be inside those less than greater than signs. And of course we've got the same issue up here where the integer is missing. So linked list square brackets integer. We could try and make it a generic class where it took anything to do with numbers, like we've done in the lectures. But why worry about that complication? The question doesn't say to make it a generic method or a generic whatever. So let's just put integer in there and make it work for integers. Okay, so you don't try and get fancy when you're answering questions. You just read the question carefully, highlight the keywords, and just answer it in the most straightforward way. So it just says find 5 errors. It calculates and prints, And we've got to rewrite the error-free statements accordingly. So you'd rewrite that line of code, you'd rewrite this line of code, rewrite this line of code, rewrite this line of code, and rewrite this line of code, which is pretty close to half the program. But the thing is, don't rewrite the whole program. Just rewrite the lines of code that have the errors in, so that the errors are fixed. Okay, so have a go at fixing those errors. I highly recommend you take this code. I've reformatted mine because the sample exam was a bit messy, so I've reformatted this already for me for the video. But I recommend you take that code, reformat it, and fix the errors in TextPad or whatever editor you're using, and make sure you understand what's going wrong. Other errors to be on the lookout where there's incorrect case use, for example, uppercase P or uppercase L or uppercase S. Be on the lookout for wrong case. Be on the lookout for semicolons in the wrong spot. For example, if there's a semicolon here at the end of the for statement, at the end of this line here, then that would end the for statement. And this line of code here would be outside of the for statement, and I would not exist anymore because the for loop's ended. Okay, so be on the lookout for those as well. Be on the lookout for missing square brackets, an int on the main. Again, if you put an int there instead of void, your program will still compile, but when you run it, Java will never find the main method because it's looking for public static void main, and it's something that takes an array of strings. So if you change anything to do with the fingerprints here, if you make that an int or if you take out the array, your code will still compile, but it will never run because Java's looking for a main with a certain fingerprint. Check the curly brackets as well. Check they are curlies and not round brackets, and check your arrays declared not with square brackets as well. All those sorts of things. There's many things to check. Check with arrays you're using the length property. Don't try and let them put round brackets at the end. If there's round brackets there, that's wrong. That's the length of a string. And don't use size because that's the size of a data structure like an array list or a linked list. Okay, and same for linked lists or array lists. Make sure it's using size with round brackets there. That's the size of the data structure or number of items in a data structure. So they're the main things to be on the lookout for. And of course, commas instead of semicolons and semicolons instead of commas and all that sort of stuff. Be on the lookout for all those sorts of things. There's a lot to keep in mind. You've got to really run the debugger in your head and the compiler in your head to find all errors. This question here is a very tricky one. It's certainly much trickier than what's been on any of the most recent past exams. So it's a good one to practice on. Okay, hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.